Morning everybody, and surprise, thought I'd do a layout update. I'll save the rail fan video for sometime middle of the week, something like that. Show you a couple things I've been working on and a little bit of time I'm here, and the talk about JMRI mainly. Some of the changes that Pete made and that you're going to be seeing me implement later this summer. I've already filmed the next 3 trains, so you won't see them immediately, but after that, you'll start seeing some of the changes. I want to let you know that Fran Tesserero, my good friend, gosh, we've known each other 30 years or so, and I are going to be at the Ohio N-Scale weekend next Sunday. Now, it's over a 3-hour drive for me. I have to drive an hour and a half to his house, and then I don't know how long it is to get from his house to up there. So it's going to be a long day, so we're not going to be there all day. Definitely not going to be there at 9 in the morning. But, I'd say maybe, 11, 12, 1, something like that. We'll be hanging out there for a couple hours. If you see us, say hi. I'd like to meet everybody, shake your hand. I'd like to, just put faces to some of the people that watch the videos and give you a chance to ask any questions you want to in person or not. So let's go on to the layout update. I went on Google Earth and I downloaded this picture, and this is actually Watt Street looking north, so that's pretty much where it would be, just leaving the yard heading toward Douglas Avenue. Some things I'm going to do now. In reality, this building is right next to the tracks. There's not a bunch of trees and stuff in there, so that's sort of, wanted to do something, just have like a grassy area there, so I put some trees, super trees in there. I'm going to try to blend this road in, make this color a little bit matching the photograph better, I think. But I sort of like the way that came out. Over here is the gravel lot facing the, this is where the torn down building is. So I'm going to change the angle and show you what I've modeled and what it looked like when I took the pictures in 1985. So we're looking across the roundhouse roof. You really can't see that thing I modeled. I'm sort of bad about that. I model stuff that you can't see unless you put the camera in a weird angle or something. Maybe it's a waste of time, I don't know, but I sort of like the challenge. So you can see there's just a vacant brick or vacant gravel lot here. I'll put a picture in right here of, I was standing out here and took a picture of that building. And of course, now in real life, this building here is much longer. It's probably 3 or 4 times as long as what I had the space to model. The house is against the backdrop. That's just sort of a freelance thing, and it's like they're back on 7th Street is where they'd actually be. That's why I made them smaller. They're much smaller than the houses behind the buildings on Washington Avenue. I took this picture in 1985 when they were getting ready to abandon everything. Maybe at one time there was a whole bunch of stuff piled around this building, but by this time it was cleared out. So I'm leaving it empty. There's nothing wrong with leaving it a vacant lot if it actually was a vacant lot. We tend to try to want to fill everything up with interesting stuff, and if it wasn't there, it wasn't there. So I'm going to leave it empty. I picked up a couple of turnouts, and I'm going to put a runaround track here. They did have a little runaround track on Water Street, sort of in the grass, but that way the locomotive could run around some hoppers. They could possibly even keep hoppers here, 1 or 2 hoppers. If the yard gets congested or something, they could keep them there. Probably I'm going to extend this tail track. It's too short, maybe another 6-9 inches out here. Enough room to locomotive, maybe run around locomotive and 2 hoppers to shove into the grain elevator. Now, it will be empty almost all the time. I don't want stuff blocking my access to the yard. I don't have to reach over cars to get to the yard. I'm not going to have any buildings in through here that's going to block the view of the yard, basically. So this will just be empty most of the time. Matter of fact, it's going to be pretty crappy looking track, overgrown, weedy, because it didn't get much business at this time. This elevator was on its last legs. Anyhow, so maybe 1 car at a time is what I'm going to be looking at. So you'll see that happen sometime this summer. The runaround, I'll probably move it back a little bit, but it's probably not going to follow exactly this curve. It can sort of, have a little wider spot in here so it doesn't have to be a little narrow curve. Let's talk about the changes that Pete has made to JMRI. Can't thank him enough. He loves doing this stuff, and I sent him my files, and he's working on it on his computer at home, and he sends them back to me, and I've got this old crappy computer and I had a hard time downloading them. He is a very patient man. So anyhow, we have 8 trains now. So the first 4 up here are he always calls them the manifest trains. They're basically the trains that deliver cars to the Chillicothe yard and pick up cars from Chillicothe yard. They're how we move cars on and off the layout. I've got the B&O East route, B&O West, C&O interchange, and a W interchange. So B&O East goes from Cincinnati to Parkersburg. B&O West goes from Parkersburg to Cincinnati. They're basically through trains that just stop with blocks of cars to deliver to Chillicothe. So I have one big yard called the Placer Yard, which is my storage boxes. So these trains actually originate in the storage boxes and terminate in the storage boxes. That's where the cars start out and end up. So what I do is, you see these 4 check marks over here says build, is I can click down at the bottom and I can build those 4 trains. Now you see them change to preview, 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 and preview. So let's go look at the preview for the B&O East train. Let me blow it up so you can see it a little bit better. Okay. So these 5 cars are going to be dropped off by the B&O eastbound train in the Chillicothe yard. It's scheduled work at Chillicothe yard. They're going to drop off those 5 cars. They're going to pick up 6 cars. Those 6 cars are going on to Parkersburg. And the cars that it's dropped off up here are going to be the ones that are going to be switched out in Oak Hill and Douglas Avenue, or the elevator job. And the next, when I run all my trains. So let's go out of here. So I run those 4 trains in a row, and then I'm going to terminate, those 4 trains. It's going to say the manifest has been printed. That's okay. But now those cars that each train dropped off are in the Chillicothe yard. And now I can build the Oak Hill interchange job. That's a job that Pete made. So all it does is pick up cars from the Chillicothe yard, take them to Oak Hill, which is the B&O Ojai interchange. It drops them off and picks up the cars that are waiting for it there, brings them back to the yard. That's the train I had trouble duplicating before. I just had to sort of make it up, and it wasn't really working out. So Pete actually created a train for that. Once that train is run, I can terminate that train, and then I can build my other 3 jobs. My Ojai Railroad switch job, which is just going to switch all the cars in Oak Hill and leave them there for the next time I run the interchange job, Douglas Avenue job, the Chillicothe elevator job, which right now I don't have activated. I showed you the track plan changes. So eventually I will have that activated, and I'll start running that also. And that'll take up, a couple car spots in the yard, because that's not going to be a big job. Anything. I've been splitting the Douglas Avenue job into 2. I just do that sort of manually. I'm not going to worry about having an eastbound and a westbound job. Basically, I just split up wherever in Union Spring into a job, and then the other industries into the other job. But I can just do that on my own. The switch crew knows to do that. So another neat thing I've talked about in the last video was it's sort of, the switching is sort of getting stale. I'm just doing the same thing every time. So there is a way, probably, which we haven't figured it out yet, to make that a variation, but Pete showed me a way I can do it individually. So let me click on the Cars tab. I currently have 134 cars in the on the railroad. Now, some of them are not active. Let me click on location. Oh, sorry, up the top. You see these 4 cars at the top? They don't have a location because those are all grain hoppers. And I don't have the elevator running yet. So once I decide to put that in service, I will activate those cars and they will go into service. But if I come on down, you see I've got placer yard, which is my big storage boxes. B&O Ohio Interchange, Chillicothe Yard. Let's say that I want to come on down to Douglas Avenue. And let's say I don't want to, I'm tired of switching, ITT Grinnell every time. So I come over here, right now there's an NW boxcar in ITT Grinnell spot 2. So I come over here to where it says set, and then I can move over and I can say out of service. So I'm taking that car out of service. Click on save. And now when I look at that car, it's got a little, this little circle beside it. That means that car is not going to move from that spot until I put it back in service. So when I build the Douglas Avenue train, it will not try to switch that spot, which means I need to leave that car there. If it's in spot 1, I'd have to pull it and respot it. On spot 2, I don't have to. But what I can do is that can vary my switching, and that's what I'm going to do. It's really easy to do. I can do it like wherever spot 2 and have to respot cars. I can do it in especially all the industries that have multiple spots. I can just go in and deactivate it for 1 or 2 cycles and put it right back in. So I decide now I want to reactivate it. Come over here, put it back in service. Oh, I forgot to click save, sorry. Put it in service, click save at the bottom. Okay, so now that car is back in spot 2 and it will be switched out on the next switch job. So it's a way I can vary my switching. So I would prefer the computer does it automatically, and maybe there is a way you can do it with schedules or something, but this isn't really very hard. One casualty of messing with all this stuff is the off spots have not, we are not able to get the off spots to work. So it would just leave the cars there. It would never move them. You just have to move the off spot car out of the way and, put it back in, then put it back. Let's see. I don't need to show you that. So what he did was he deactivated the off spots. I'm going to keep working on it. But for now, we won't have the off spots. Now, I could put a car manually in the off spot. I know what car is going to go there next, say to spot 2 and wherever. When I terminate the train, I know what's going to go there next. So I could just put it there. So when I film the video, as far as you know, that car's there and I can put it there. But so for right now, you will see the off spots disappear. Hopefully they'll reappear in the future. So just thought I'd give you a heads up of what we've been doing. Again, can't thank Pete enough. You won't see this immediately because I've already filmed the next 3 switch jobs since I'm traveling so much. You're probably just going to see 1 a week on Saturdays for the next few weeks. We'll see. I am home next couple of weeks. Got a lot of stuff to help my wife within the garden, and we're going to go to the N-Scale weekend next Sunday. So I don't know how much time I'll have to run trains. But by middle of June, into June, you'll start seeing these changes show up. So hope I see you at the N-Scale weekend. Be sure to come over and say hi if you do. Everybody stay safe. So here's Chance. You can see by his back legs, he's still walking kind of gingerly. So he hasn't had any walks now in a couple of weeks, and still taking a lot of medication and doing a lot of laser therapy. So he's getting around, but he's definitely not healing, I would say, at this point.